Hello, and thank you for joining us on TVC News this hour. We begin in Abuja, where the Supreme Court has dismissed the appeal filed by the People's Democratic Party against the election of Alia as governor of Benue State. The court dismissed the appeal following his withdrawal by counsel to the People's Democratic Party and its governorship candidate, Titus Uba. Mr. Uba had challenged the victory of the governor of the All Progressives Congress. The Benue State's Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal and the Court of Appeal, Abuja, had affirmed Mr. Alia's election as governor of the state. And following his declaration by the Independent National Electoral Commission as the winner of the election, the Court of Appeal had also held that it lacked the jurisdiction to hear the petition because it was a pre-election matter. And staying in the nation's capital, news just reaching us is that former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Alia Farouk, has finally honored the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission's invitation. The former minister was expected to appear last Thursday to offer clarification over the alleged laundering of 37 billion in her ministry during her tenure. According to her lawyer, Oladipo Ukosei, the former minister had health challenges which prevented her from appearing before the EFCC. She also assured of her commitment to offer clarifications about activities of some agencies under her ministry she superintended in the immediate past administration. Well, to give us an update on this, let's bring in our correspondent, Celestia Iria, live from Abuja. Thank you for joining us on the news at this time, Celestina. We hear that the former minister has arrived at the EFCC office. What's the latest you have as regards that?
Okay, well, what we know for a fact now is that she's currently at the EFCC headquarters there in Abuja. The EFCC is undergoing their investigation into her term in office. That was from 2019 to 2003, where she held the position of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. And the money in question is 37 billion naira. But the EFCC spokesperson said it could be more, as the investigation is still ongoing. In December, the commission arrested one Mr. James Suwaite in his involvement, who is a contractor, on how 37 billion naira found his way into his account. And the commission extended an invitation to the former minister in January 3rd, where she, through her lawyers, replied to the commission that she will not be able to turn herself in for questioning because she is indisposed, and asked for extra time. She asked for 3 weeks, but the commission said that the investigation is ongoing and time is of the essence. So they asked her that she should report to the commission. They gave her extra 3 days, of which today she went to the commission to answer their questions. So, but we recall that the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs has been in the news in the past week regarding some issues of misappropriation and payments of monies into individual accounts. So we don't know the basis at which that money was sent to Mr. James Zuwaite. Hopefully these are the questions the commission will be asking the minister today, and hopefully after their interrogation with her, the commission will probably issue a press statement on how it went.
All right, Celestina, we're just going to wait for the outcome of today's invitation. But very quickly, I also hear you are at the Supreme Court, where it has been ruled in favor of the governor of Benue State, that's Governor Alia. Can you talk to us more about this?
Yes, the court has affirmed his election indirectly because the PDP withdrew their appeal today, where they got the hints from the court that the issue they had canvassed from the Benue State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal to the Court of Appeal are now up to the Supreme Court today was a pre-election matter. Their basis of filing at the tribunal in Benue State was for the fact that they had alleged that the governor and his deputy were not duly sponsored by the party, which is the APC. They are saying that a candidate ought to be sponsored by the political party. Reasons being that when the APC submitted the list of candidates to INEC, the governor's name was alleged not to be on the list. So that was the basis at which they approached the tribunal and up to the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal had said that it lacks jurisdiction because it was a pre-election matter which the PDP ought to have ventilated before a federal high court, before coming to the tribunal. And here at the Supreme Court today, the court dismissed it, stating that it is a pre-election matter and the court lacked the jurisdiction. If we look at Section 177 of the Constitution, this was also the issue raised by the APC during the presidential election at the Presidential Election Petitions Court, where the court said that no political party has the right to determine how a political party nominates its candidate. So it was a pre-election matter. Even if it wasn't a pre-election matter, the PDP had no right to question how the APC nominated their candidate. So it was on that basis the Supreme Court here today dismissed the appeal.
Well, it seems that's going to be a joyous atmosphere in Benue State. But finally, before I let you go, I also hear that the FCT High Court will deliver judgment as regards the former CBN governor today. Talk to us about that.
Yes, the judgment was scheduled for 1 p.m. but has currently been moved to 3 p.m. local time, and it is a fundamental right enforcement suit filed by Godwin Emefiele challenging his illegal detention by the DSS and move over to the EFCC. So he's challenging his unconditional and unconstitutional stay in the facility. He's asking the court to award him 5 million naira. That was what his demand, and also damages in favor of him against the anti-graft agency. But the EFCC, in their defense, saying that the former CBN governor came to their custody 6 days before he was arraigned, that the 151 days he had spent was with the DSS and not with them. But Mr. Emefiele's lawyer is saying that both agencies are agencies of the government. Mr. Emefiele was transferred to the EFCC, not handed over to them. So this is what the court will rule today, and also rule on the preliminary objection filed by the federal government and the AGF, and also the relief sought by Mr. Emefiele.
All right, Celestina, please stay on this story. We'll get back to you in subsequent bulletins. Our correspondent, Celestia Iria, live for us in Abuja. Thank you for joining us. And still on the comprehensive probe of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered a thorough and comprehensive probe of the Ministry of Poverty Alleviation and Humanitarian Affairs by Betta Edu as Minister. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, announced this latest development in a statement where he mentioned that the federal government is aware of the uproar over the development in the humanitarian ministry, and it is determined to unravel the truth. Ms. Edu was indicted in an alleged involvement in the approval of more than 585 million to be disbursed into personal accounts. Well, in her reaction, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, denied any wrongdoing. The minister says the allegations are only out to tarnish her image. She said, quote, "Integrity and accountability are our watchword. Under my watch in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, no one will embezzle government funds as before." End of quote. Now let's turn to Plateau, where the Fulani community in the state is crying out against what it alleges to be marginalization and lack of concern to the plight by the government in the wake of the Ujad killings. The leadership of the Fulani community in the state says many lives and properties were lost, as many of their members were also caught in the web of the crisis. The correspondent Funom Joshua reports.
The leadership of the Fulani community in Plateau State has invited journalists to a forum to tell their side of the story in the aftermath of the Yuletide killings that left more than 200 people dead, including women and children. There have been several accusations and counter-accusations between ethnic groups in the area over who is responsible for the Christmas Eve attacks. The Fulani community also claimed that about 350 of their members lost their lives, while 15 villages were burned and many more were displaced in attacks from April last year to date. They also claim 840 cows were rustled from them by suspected militia, and nothing has been done despite reporting the case to the relevant authorities.
On 24th December 2023, mobs numbering in their hundreds attacked villages include Madaka, Mataleng, Kop Mandarken, Maun, Matol.
Concern for the plight of the Fulani community in the state and not giving them relief materials provided by the federal government for the displaced and vulnerable in the state.
It's not Fulani that perpetrated these attacks. These attacks started in the morning of 24th. From morning to evening, Fulani houses in all the Fulani settlements around Bokos district were on fire from morning to evening. And it is the same attack that was done against us. We don't know how it escalated to the night. We don't know.
We are so disturbed that like authorities does not even recognize that we are part of Nigerians, because all measures taken to cushion the hardship of this crisis, our people are not even involved even once.
The Fulani community here in Plateau State are appealing on the federal government to intervene on their behalf. They allege that the state government is showing less concern on their predicament in the aftermath of the Christmas Eve attacks. From Joshua, TVC News, Jos.